A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Ho, 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 and welcome back to the Andy Takes That Chance podcast review show. It's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. That is, unless you're Garry Monk, whose Cambridge team were overturned by a rampant Huddersfield Town on Friday night. Irish eyes were smiling as Callum Marshall decent link-up in front of a sold-out away end on Mad Friday. Joining myself, Matt Shaw, to break down the game from Friday night, we firstly wish you a very Jerry Christmas. As Jerry Hinnen joins us all the way from the USA. You okay, Jerry?
I am doing great. It's a very busy holiday time. We've got a lot of shopping still to do, a lot of wrapping to do. Families coming over, got to get the house ready. But during all of the holiday hustle and bustle, it's important to take the time and discuss what's really important about this time of year, which is that Huddersfield Town are auto promotion contenders.
There we go. And if it's a Jerry Christmas, we've got a Kosi New Year as the bear is back in the pod chair. You okay, Cos? Little trip to Italy and you're back in the building. I don't think he's back in the building. Has he frozen? He looks like he's scared, doesn't he?
My internet's just gone like you said. Yours were bad. Mine's not great, but yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back in the UK. Ciao.
How was Italy, mate?
Ciao. It was good, mate. Yeah, very different culture compared to like Spain and Germany football-wise. Interesting place. Very dominated by ultras, and if they say don't take a picture, if they say sing, if they say move, you do as they say. But yeah, we're good. Atalanta, wow, what a team they are. Playing some incredible football. I think it's absolutely unbelievable. It reminds me of when Terry Venables getting England playing like peak 1996, just like people bombing forward, wingers, and yeah, good. And San Siro, €7 to get in on Thursday. That is the way forward, I think, for English football. But on another thing, though, like €7 to get into Milan, €16 to get into Torino, and €20 to get into Atlanta. So, like, again, I've been of the view that we're getting ripped off a lot of in this country. But it's very expensive though in other places in Milan, but not in its football places. But yeah, no, it was good, Matt. Nice to have a lot of pizza and spaghetti. I'm about 20 stone heavier now, mate. So, yeah.
Lots of carbs, carbing up, eh?
Yeah, and his Santa gifts up for the XXL on the tag.
Very good. Okay. Before we get into things from Friday night, let's first have a word from this week's sponsor. This episode is sponsored by On Point Framing and Memorabilia. On Point Framing and Memorabilia are the preferred framing partner to Huddersfield Town AFC and the proud supplier of authentic signed town memorabilia. They have a great range of items available on the website opframing.co.uk in the HTFC collection tab. Make sure you check them out. Okay, thank you very much to On Point Framing for sponsoring the last couple of weeks. It's been very much appreciated. Do some great stuff as well. Check out that website. It's really good. Cambridge 0, Town 4. So my voice is a little bit flaky, so I'm going to try and speak less than you guys this week. And I know I usually say that and end up over talking everybody, but let's just start with the team. The team was pretty much how Killer and I thought it would be on the podcast. We thought Michael Duff could either go two ways, either he would play safe and put Tom Lees at left centre back and bring Matty Pearson into the team. But what we really wanted was Brodie Spencer in at that left centre back role to cover for the gaps that Josh Koroma would leave moving forward down that left hand side, and that's what we got. And I was impressed by that because it would have been really easy to just pick 3 experienced defenders away from home. But he's seen that there would be an issue at the back with Koroma moving forwards, and he's slotted Brodie Spencer in there and brought Ollie Turton in as well, Jerry, to balance it out. I've been really impressed with Michael Duff, how he's not willing to just play things easy, and obviously he's not sticking 11 strikers on the pitch, etc. But he doesn't always take the easy option, and he always does what's progressive and best for the team, even if the football can be pragmatic at times.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago when he stuck Koroma out on the left wing after Miller got hurt, I think all of us were pretty surprised by that. Koroma had, in his brief cameos at left wing back before, he had not looked like that was a solid natural position for him, that he was comfortable playing out there. I think it's a testament to Duff that he has looked, much more kind of secure over there. I do think it helps. I think the big part of playing Spencer behind him is that, a lot of the time that 11 players ends up, particularly in possession, looking like a 4-3-3. Like if you just put those 11 names on a sheet of paper and you'd never heard of Michael Duff or what he's, his preferences tactically, you would say, oh, well, it's a 4-3-3, right? You'd have Koroma and Marshall either side of Ward in the middle, and then you'd have Brodie Spencer and Turton as your, left and right backs in a back four. And so having Koroma out there kind of gives you the flexibility a little bit. At times it's going to look like you've got 5 at the back where Koroma and Turton, pull all the way back alongside the 3 center backs. And then other times it's going to look kind of like a 4-3-3 where Koroma pushes up, to sort of make the left side of a 3 in the front. And then you've got Spencer as that kind of left back from a 4 playing behind him. So, it's a really clever thing from Duff. I think everybody appreciates. He tried something for Lincoln where he's like, okay, we're going to put Turton and Ruffles out there, maybe push our midfield forward a little bit. It just did not work. And I think there are some managers out there who would say, I tried this. I thought it was a good idea. I'm going to stick with it. Even though it didn't work out that time, we're going to try it against somebody else, hope for different results. And Duff didn't do that. He said, no, like we got to kind of go back to the drawing board, pick something out. This is a different match. And it's just, another feather in a long series of feathers during this season in Michael Duff's cap.
Yeah, he's got a full bird up there, hasn't he, Jerry? Or we'll be having the full one, no doubt, hopefully by the end of the season. Kosi, it was good. The good start as well, that team, and Cambridge made a good start to that game for the first 10 minutes, but Ben Wiles broke through, had that shot saved, and at that point it kind of turned the game and Town really took over. And then it was the breakthrough a couple of minutes later. It's a good ball in from Ben Wiles. Tom Lees, unlucky again. He's almost scored 5.
No.
Good save. And in goes David Kasumu to tap in the rebound. And for anyone that reads my player rating articles, I can tell by the look on your 2 faces that you have. I mentioned on there that there's that's Kasumu's 4th goal this season. So that's 4 goals in 16 games for Kasumu, which is good. And that's 1 more goal than he's got in his previous entire 163 appearances in professional football. So Kasumu is on the run of his life at the minute. So 4 goals in 16 this season. Prior to that, it was 3 goals in 163 appearances at Town and MK Dons. And it's all coming up. Kasumu this season, Kosi, he's been, we talk about him weekly, don't we? He's been absolutely outstanding, but he was outstanding here today. Scored a goal again and just dominated midfield as usual.
Yeah, it's a funny story. Kasumu, I think at the start of the season, well, we know, Michael Duff plans. I think it's a bit dramatic to say that, but it was well down the pecking order, let's say, as well. And I've got to be honest, when we got relegated, part of me thinks, would Kasumu, obviously, kind of southern boy as well, would he want to be kind of staying here a bit longer as well? But the big thing is, Matt, he's been fit, hasn't he? And that's the thing. I think we can rely on him, and he's been really good. And to me, I think it's such a beautiful pairing, like in the middle of the field as well, because like Herbie Kane can just do his thing. Herbie Kane's not going to be there to like track back and do that stuff, but Kasumu does so much selfless work, and some of his tackling is pretty amazing as well. So he's got the legs. Kasumu knows his limitations. Kane knows his limitations, and he's just working a treat as well. And yeah, he's getting a few goals recently. Like I say, his 4th goal, and big smile on his face as he ran off to celebrate as well. And yeah, really good. Again, I know we covered it a few weeks ago, Matt, when he got that contract extension. I couldn't understand some of the kind of some of the surprise. I was quite surprised that people were disappointed that we were extending this contract, and I think it's one of those. Yeah, you can take a view maybe that it's not championship quality. Let's hope we can test that out next season, because I still think he could come again, Kachunga, Matt, because I think he's going to get better with age. But the key thing is for me is staying fit. It kept happening last season. He had 3 or 4 games, and he was out for 3 or 4 games. Now, you know what's going to happen against Stockport, don't you? But yeah, I'm pleased, mate, with him, and he looks like he's enjoying his football. Makes a big smile, said it all when he scored.
What's
Jerry,
funny about, if I can just interject there, Matt. What's funny about people not liking that contract extension is that if I was going to pick one player who I'd say, heaven forbid, Town don't go up this season, who might get picked off by like a championship club or something, I would pick Kasumu. Like, he's the player who I would say right now, to me, looks most championship ready, maybe out of the whole team. So, that contract extension is only if Town, again, heaven forbid, have to sell Kasumu at the end of this season, or would look to, that contract is going to be a big boost in terms of the fee.
Jerry, the unit as well is good, isn't it? You look at Kasumu. Kasumu does the dog work, if you like, the leg work. He runs around, wins the ball, the interceptions, the ball recoveries. And like Kosi mentioned, you got Herbie Kane, who adds that balance next to him. But then you've got Ben Wiles in front of them as well, who adds that extra layer, doesn't it? The attacking layer. Ben Wiles' passing was really good on Friday night. I think his accuracy was late 80s, early 90s, which is really good for a striker or a one who's going up towards the strikers and playing the ball into the final third. That's phenomenal accuracy. And that unit works really well. And when people sort of say Kasumu wasn't championship standard, etc., yeah, okay, there were points where he struggled and he wasn't particularly good, but he wasn't really ever paired with anyone who brought the best out of him either. And I think when you look at Kasumu, he's what you'd refer to as more of a facilitator, if you like. He makes others look good around him. And if there's no one to make look good by running around, winning the ball, recovering it, and giving it to someone who can do something, then you're obviously going to look a little bit worse, aren't you? But I think Kane and Kasumu are just that pair, aren't they, in particular, that just bring out the best of each other because the styles are so contrasting.
Just keeping him fit. Go on, sorry. It's just keeping him fit, though, guys, for me. It's funny, Matt, you're on about that Italian chick last night. Playing for Empoli was a certain Tino Anchorin. And if you remember, he could never get fit. He could never stay fit, but you always knew there was a player there. I think for like Empoli, he's been like consistently fit and playing, and he looked really, really good. Played the full 90 where everyone else were getting subbed off as well. And I just think it's the same with Kasumu, really, and as well. He is just like, he's just having that fitness, mate, and just be able to trust your body and that as well. I think that's the thing. If you look at the injury woes that we've had, and I think we're down to 17 fit players with Connor Falls on the bench on Friday night as well, and that's where we're kind of down to as well. But it's interesting, mate, because like I just think those that are missing, I'm not sure they get in. Any of them get in, maybe apart from like Lee Nichols. So I do think Hogg. We've wrote him off a few times, haven't we, over the years as well, but with hip and injuries and things like that as well, we need Kasumu to stay fit. And I don't think there's many better midfields in the division. That'd be a bit outlandish to say. Dan, I just like Herbie Kane so much. The stuff he can do on the ball, he must be an enigma for a lot of managers, because who maybe thought, could he be championship quality as well? Going on about Kasumu as well. So I'm fascinated. I really hope that obviously next season that we get to see them in the division up and see how they can do that as well. Because I think these two guys be a point to prove, and maybe even Kazumi a point to prove against some of our own fans, to be honest.
Let's move it on then, because like I say, Cambridge made that good start and Town went 1-0 up, but Town really took over at this point in the game, and Irish eyes were smiling again in the 32nd minute. That's Callum Marshall last week against Lincoln was set up for the equaliser by Brodie Spencer, and Raj from the club joked afterwards it was made in Windsor Park, etc. And this week we got to see them return the favour. Callum Marshall retrieves the ball wide right and swings the ball into Brodie Spencer, who just has to nudge it in. The cross is phenomenal, isn't it? It's just perfect. The way the arc on it.
Getting on end of that, Matt. There were loads queuing for it. It just happened to be Marshall, but
get a little touch on the end of that one. Me or you? It comes off my hair, or your head, and you can't miss. It's one of those brilliant balls you just can't fail to miss. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal cross, isn't it? And
it doesn't look. It seemed to look, Matt. It was really like looking at ball, wasn't he? It's almost like he telegraphed. Papi did it later on with an incredible ball for Karoma, but it's just like he just doesn't need to look. It really is. That just shows the confidence we're playing with. I think now he's like people know where people are going to be roaded and just putting balls in, knowing that there's going to be someone be there, and it's quite exciting, to be honest.
Must have liked that one, Jerry, from all the way over there in Greenbow, Alabama.
I made some sort of noise before Spencer had even touched the ball. I was like, oh my gosh, just the fact that it kind of, comes so quick. I think it surprises the Cambridge defense with how quickly he puts it in as well. Not just that it, the camera angle from behind the goal, you can see that the arc on it is just absolutely perfect. I think there's a chance that it goes in even if Spencer doesn't touch it. It might go in off the post. There's so much curl on it. And what's really exciting is that that's not the first time, Spencer's made that kind of ball, or Marshall, has put in that kind of ball where, if you remember, I think it was the first goal against Bolton where he was out and stuck it right on Karoma's head, somewhat from a similar position. And I think we talk a lot about Marshall's, motor and how, hard he runs and how hard he tackles and his activity levels and all this sort of stuff. And sometimes I think we do a little bit of a disservice to how good he is on the ball. Again, we're going to talk about the pass to play in Karoma for the third, but this is not the first time that he's put a ball into the box like that. And I think he is a more complete player when you see him make crosses like that, when you see him make passes like we're going to talk about for the third goal, or the third goal. He is a very complete player. And as a complete player who only turned 20 last month, it's really exciting to see where he's going and what he might be able to accomplish the rest of the season on the trajectory he's on.
I'm just looking at the big chances created stats for Huddersfield Town, and Callum Marshall is third. He's joint second with Ben Wiles, and that shows, it's something I've noticed is his passing in the final third is really crisp and really accurate, and he is actually third, joint second behind Mikael Miller. Mikael Miller's, most of those are set pieces, to be fair, but Mikael Miller did really well earlier on in the season, and Callum Marshall's got 2 assists now. But he's created 5 big chances for Town, and that's more than Karoma, more than Sorensen, Evans, Danny Ward, Kasumu, Herbie Kane. So, he's doing really well, and I think a lot of reason to be happy with how he's doing the last few weeks.
He's had an interesting kind of season, Matt, because, and again, I'm going to praise Duff on it, good management, because there were a couple of games, I can't remember the home game as well. I think Radulovic got the start over Marshall, and then the next game Marshall were on the bench, and I'm thinking, what's going on here, kind of thing. Obviously known as a young guy, but I think it just was good management, Matt, that he just kind of like taking out the firing line, because obviously, we played so many games, and he's come back and looking even more refreshed and revitalised as well. I think you've got to credit Michael Duff for how they managed him as well, because I remember that second time he were on the bench. I can't remember the back-to-back games, mate, but it was just like, I'm thinking, is he again moving the strikers about, kind of shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic, because we're not absolutely blessed with quality up there. But no, since he's come back, kind of in this little period, is fantastic. But again, he'll have to, manage his minutes as well. And I'm sure, Matt, obviously we've had loan players over the years. It'd be interesting to obviously see, do they have any input down there, mate, about how many minutes he can play, or he's allowed to play. It's interesting, because I know we have that with kind of maybe Tino and a few of us and stuff as well. I don't know. Obviously, Hodges getting, Wolves saying he can come back and train and this, that, and the other. So I'd love to be flying a wall sometimes, and some of these conversations, or does parent come to say, look, do just look after him the best you can. It'd be fascinating to know if someone who knows how it works, really.
Maybe that's a question we can ask one day. So at this point, anyway, it pretty much becomes a Callum Marshall third goal. Owes a lot to Danny Ward. That's class from Danny Ward down the right hand side, isn't it? He beats Brophy, the Cambridge left wing back. Absolutely skins him, doesn't he? And puts the ball up on his right foot.
3-year-old.
On his right foot as well. Less favoured right foot. It's a great ball. Ben Wiles diving header. hits the defender, hits the bar, and at this point, Callum Marshall's probably the third or fourth player closest to the ball, and it's just his hunger and desire to get there in front of everyone else, and he throws himself in. And it's not a 25-yard screamer or anything like that, but it just shows the way things are going for him, and where he's at the minute, in that he beat several players to the ball, speed instantly. He wanted to be there. He throws himself in at an angle as well, which could easily injure himself, but he's doing it all to get, a tap in. And I just thought it was a great moment for him, because he's had that rough spell, and he's come back out of it. He came on against Lincoln and did really well, and he's followed it up again this week. And I think me and Killer mentioned it on the driving as well, that we fancied him to score again. And sometimes strikers do that; they kind of go in bunches, and we just feel like maybe it's now time for a little run of form. He's had 6 weeks where he's had a dip. Now maybe there's a high to have, and I think that's the thing with young players, Cos, is that it's always like a roller coaster. It's always ups and downs with them, and you've got to manage them both correctly. And I think Michael Duff managed the dip brilliantly, without denting any confidence. And I think credit to Marshall as well. He does seem a confident and well, a mentally well-adjusted young man. I should say. I couldn't think of anything better to say there. But it's the way he threw himself in there. I know it's not a screamer, but it's really well done. Do you know how he's beating the other players to the ball? And I'm sure Cambridge will be frustrated with that, Jerry.
Oh yeah, what can you? I think that's a much more difficult goal than it looks like at first. Like you said, it's not going to make any probably season-ending highlight reels or anything. But the fact that Marshall launches himself at it, while these poor Cambridge defenders are just kind of sitting around staring at the ball. I couldn't believe that center back, I'm sorry, who the ball glances off of his hip and hits the bar, and he doesn't move. Like, he just kind of turns around and just watches. Oh, well, hey, there's the ball. I wonder what's going to happen there. This is interesting. But that Marshall just, it's like you said, he's third or fourth favorite, and really not just launches himself at it, but launches himself with under control, right? Like, he knows what he's doing. He sticks his foot out to make contact with the ball in such a way that it doesn't fly off to one side, doesn't go over the bar. Like, he gets the right touch on it. It's not just that he gets there first, which is difficult enough already, but that he actually puts the right touch on it as well. Like, he's under control. It's a really stunning goal once you go back and look at it. I apologize. I think I got his, the third Town goal and the fourth Town goal mixed up a little bit in terms of, which one had the other Marshall pass to Chroma. But when you have so many excellent Callum Marshall moments to choose from, it can get a little bit confusing, really.
Yeah, and that next one, Cosi, that crossfield pass. You can talk about the third goal as well, but we'll bring on the fourth goal. Cambridge had a good start, actually. In fact, we'll go to the second half, and Cambridge came out and did have a go first 10, 15 minutes of that game, and one of the opportunities fell to Elias Kachunga, who put it just over the bar. And it was great to see him again as well. Elias Kachunga is such a great cult hero from our recent history, if you like. There's a lot of love for him at the time, and it was great. There's still a lot of love for him as well with Town fans before the game, during the game, after the game. He was still immensely popular, and I was close enough to the front to see his face when Town fans were singing his name, and you could see it meant a lot to him. And as someone who probably will, when he retires, look back on Huddersfield as the best time of his career, I would imagine, unless all of a sudden Cambridge shoot up to the Premier League, you never know. But I would imagine a look at that, and it'll be like the highlight of his career, and to sort of still have fans loving you and singing your name and appreciating what you've done. And that's what we do. We appreciated his hard work and his endeavor. And it was just great to see that connection, because sometimes it can go the other way a little bit and fans can be a little bit awkward, but I love the way that there was still that connection there. And not that I'm not saying that I want him back or anything, but it was fans still remembered what a great personality and cult he really was, Cos.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's easy to do it when you're 3-0 up in it, but that's a bit harsh.
Before the game, they were still going. It was great.
Yeah. Nah, mate, we were pivotal, wasn't he? I partly wondered, what is he doing down there? It's a strange old story, isn't it? But Cambridge went up too much on Friday night. But you know what, Matt? I thought their keeper were fantastic. He really was good, and they let him fall, but he could have been a lot more. He was so lucky, like, with a lot of stuff. But yeah, Kachunga maybe, what is he, 32 something now, Matt? It's
early 30, well, 33, 34, yeah. He's
Yeah,
that way.
it'd be easy to go back to Germany, wouldn't it? Much like England a lot as well. But no, it's good
I think
that
his
fans.
partner's. I think his partner's English, and I think they've had a child and stuff like that. So he's probably quite settled, I'd imagine, over here.
No, decent. But yeah, I mean that goal, like Karoma is. He backs himself, doesn't he? Just Josh Karoma, but he always gets on his foot and he's like curls. He loves a good curl, that he does all JK. But yeah, it just
Curling one out. Is that what he like? He loves to curl one out. Yeah.
Yeah, he just opens his body up, doesn't he? And just like does all the same. I thought he should played someone in, but you know how come we knock him off the last few weeks? He's on fire, but he's in top form. He's Josh Karoma at the moment, and the good thing is it's been the first half of the season. We've got. You know, the team, the defence is really solid. The midfield's clicked, and you've got players who are like having bursts of form and stuff. And I know we'll probably talk about it later on about where we could go and what we could achieve and stuff like that as well. But I still think there's more to come from a lot of these players and a lot of this team and that as well. And that's what really excites me as well. I thought really Rufus was a swagger was on Friday night that I don't think I've seen for a long time. And I thought it was going to be a difficult game, Matt. I don't know what you felt, but I listened, obviously, that drive and show that you did with killing that Kimmage guy, where, you know, even though it would be our game, he were tipping the draw, weren't he, in that as well. So I think that would have such a stable win, because, like, you look at the league table, but they were in decent nick with Cambridge, and we made them look odder, really. And,
I thought in little patches they looked quite good. You know, in the first 10 minutes of each half, I thought they looked quite good, Cambridge. I think that front three is good. I think Kachunga and Lundulu and Lavery is quite a decent front three in League One. Cousins and Smith in midfield, that's experienced. Michael Morrison's obviously cracking on now. I think he's 36, isn't he? But again, it's experience, and they've got quite a lot there. Cambridge, where they, I think that they've not got a bad side, and I think they were 9th before the game in the form table as well for the last 10 games. So I don't think they were that bad. But I think we were good, and I think the best moment of the game really was Callum Marshall's ball, wasn't it, to Karoma? The way he wrapped his foot around it was brilliant, and like we said, he's capable of these things, Callum Marshall. That was great, and like Kosi says, Karoma comes in, he could really square it, but you know, he also backs himself from those angles, doesn't he? And that's his area. And he has a go. The keeper makes a fairly decent save.
Yeah,
and
it's
again,
no luck again, does it? A bit like his first goal.
No. But the thing is, again, Callum Marshall is not the closest to the ball. Freddie's probably a bit too close, isn't he? But you know, Ben Wiles is probably closer. But the hunger and desire from Marshall, he's there, isn't he? He's like a little ferret, you know, like a little Yorkshire ferret. Is Callum Marshall straight in through the keeper's legs, and he deserved it. And he almost got a hat trick just after, and he did deserve that as well.
Yeah,
great company, really great game.
Turn and that shot. He probably should have scored that. But you know what, Matt? You guys shut me down in our internal communications group, because I always think in football you do need a bit of luck. You do need a bit of luck, and then you make your own luck, and we deserve the luck. But both them first come out, keepers padded it out straight to first Kazuma, then Marshall, and that as well. When we're on his arse last season, that's palmed out to a defender, and he's like, can he clear and stuff? It's amazing when you're on a bit of a roll how you get stuff, but I think the good thing what I like is that like players are backing themselves and like bombing forward, and what a weird season so far. It's really, really odd, because he could have gone it's ironic Crawley play tonight, because after that game down there 2-2, you're thinking where we kind of heading at the moment. Been pretty seamless, but this was the first time. I mean, obviously you were there, Matt, and it's like I don't know what the belief will like it down the side, but I'm thinking we look good, and this is with like 17 fit players. We kind of falls on the bench and that as well. So you're looking at some of these guys. There's a lot of competition for places in the depth, where people were questioning, you know, how good is the depth in quality wise. It's really been a saviour for us this season, and
I've said since day one, mate. This league is what it is. It's League One. But we've got the second best squad in this league, and people just didn't want to believe that. I mean, on paper, there were a number of other issues. There was a cohesion issue. There was mental fragility issues and things like that. But in terms of quality, man for man quality, I would have only said Birmingham would have had an entire better squad than us. And the way we added to it was pretty good, with likes of Herbie Kane and Anthony Evans in midfield, added something different. I know we've not seen Evans for a little while. Mikael Miller, a proper wing back as well, and I know the striking area didn't quite get addressed how we hoped it would, but it's not held us back. And I've thought for quite a while, if we can address those areas in January, then the top two is there for us. It's the only thing stopping us is ourselves. And if we've got a good manager, we've got quite a lot going for us. We've got an owner who wants to back us. And things are happening in January that for some of our rivals. Wickham are losing players. I think Aaron Morley's going back. He's quite important. Louis Barry's leaving Stockport, and things like that open opportunities. And Town have just. I mentioned that it's the mentality that Town suffered from, and I think that kind of mental fragility is through the entire club really. And it's at points like this where you've got to see blood and you've got to see opportunity and you've got to take it, and that's what Huddersfield Town I don't think have ever been particularly amazing at, because we haven't got automatic promotion for 41 years. So there's as a club we've just got to seize that opportunity now, the fans, players, everyone, absolutely everyone, and it's there for us if we do. But I will caveat that by saying a very Huddersfield Town thing would be to finish fifth and go up through the playoffs. That's what we do. But I think second place is first or second place is there for a number of clubs, a small number of clubs, and we're one of them. And we if we address things in January, we can absolutely fill one of those slots. If we don't, and we get bad luck along the way, I mean, Kosi mentioned good luck in the game, which is true, but we've had a horrendous luck with injuries and refereeing decisions, etc. And I know the refereeing decisions we've had one or two for us and most more against us, but it just takes a couple of those things for that mental fragility to slip back in. But we've seen the resilience that Michael Duff's brought in, and the players brought it back to 2-2, and it's little things like that which bode really well for the rest of the season. And I'm really hopeful that we can push on, because we've got a decent squad, we've got a good manager, and we've got an owner who wants to invest in it. So, fingers crossed, touch wood, and all that malarkey. I think it's there for us, and I think other teams will think the same, and that's absolutely fine. Bolton, Wickham, Wrexham, Stockport, Birmingham, they'll all think the same, and that's absolutely fine. But I do genuinely think we can push on. If that's
I agree,
what you're.
Matt. Obviously, last week's pod were obviously a big. Me and Phil obviously went on one about the fan base. So I'm fascinated to think, is the belief in the fan base now that obviously we've had a big away win after we.
I've been to the last two away games, and it's there with the travelling fans that at Mansfield and at Cambridge. It's brilliant. The away stuff's brilliant. I've just got tickets. I think a lot of people are quite. The ones who are travelling away are really good, really, really good, and they were phenomenal on Tuesday night. Saw Tom Bradshaw there as well after 6 or 7 pints. He was there singing his favourite Andy Booth songs as usual. So Tom was on good form as well with some of his mates. So yeah, I think the travelling fans are brilliant this season. They really are.
The Boxing Day game's massive in that. I mean, like the club obviously hyping it up every other time I look at a notification on my phone. It's from Huddersfield Town. Bring your scarf, get your ticket bought and stuff. Rightly so, it's just. You know what? We've always said this over the years, haven't we? That when it's a big crowd, we kind of blown out of the water a little bit. Obviously, with the promotion season and that, the Premier League, we had some great times. But I do think Boxing Day is one of those. It's incredible to think, like Stockport with their journey, it's battling with us, and the Louis Barry thing will be fascinating, because I know one or two in our group today were like, well, he'll be taking it easy. I don't think he will at all. I think he'll be proper mad for it on Boxing Day, and he'll be a real threat. He'll fill out the way. It'll be a cracking game on Boxing Day, Matt. But I'd love to win just for that moment, just for them doubting Thomas's. Maybe it's like we'll go out thinking, wow, because I suppose even a draw won't be bad, but just to go out on the ground thinking, wow, this is it. Because I felt the mentality. The Lincoln comeback were fantastic after the shocking first half. And that as well, and Stockport ain't going to look forward to that, are they? On what day are we on Thursday? It's going to be a tough game for them. But I think, for the first time I looked at that table, Matt, the weekend again, we had some nice results, didn't we? Gophers and stuff. But again, I'm just thinking, A, are we going to improve? I think we are. B, are we going to sign some players that we need? Oh God, Mr. Cartwright, I'm backing you here, mate. I think we will. C, are the fan base going to be more belief in the second half of the season than the first half of the season? I think they will. The opposition around, are they going to be strengthening Wrexham? You know, they might chuck some money at it, but
I think so.
Is their bottom and Stockport, where's their heads? I think we're better than Bolton, as we've proven in the league. They'll probably say, yeah, what about the Virtu? But okay, Birmingham, Matt, we had an interesting one chat, didn't we, just up before we come on and that as well. I thought they'd be home and nose by now. And yeah, they got the games in hand, but I think they're joined still at the moment. I don't know how that's panning out, but it's
at half time. We're currently recording.
Part of me was wanting them out away and gone, but maybe they're. It's weird how you talk differently and that as well. If you'd have put on this on after that Crawley game, we're thinking, who are these? What we had about? Yeah, but it's good, and we're doing this really quietly. I think even it's other people kind of noticing a bit now where it's not being there. Huddersfield should be up there, and it's like all of a sudden we've just what is it, Matt? Is it an 8-point gap between us and 7th? Is it? It's huge.
Yeah, I think it's us and Bolton. The gap. Yeah, I mean it's a good gap, isn't it? That we're in the place, but I'm not looking down. I'm looking up, mate.
Yeah, no, I think the big thing as well, mate. Earlier in that season, we didn't join the games, and I think it's massive in that table. Yeah. It looks really weird with us losing 5. I think Birmingham lost 2, and Wycombe only lost 2. But it doesn't matter as long as you're not drawing. But we're sick of drawing. We had draws every other week in the last 2-3 seasons, and I do like it. It's yeah. But it'd be classic Town when it's a win every week. Stop, whatever's go out ground. Here we go. And then Burton, we a couple of on Sunday. But mate, come on, could this be our time, mate, for an automatic? Because we're not getting any younger. We want to see one before we pass away.
I know, it's crazy. I've not seen, as a Townsend, I've not seen one. I think you'd have been very young, wouldn't you? Cause I think you were still.
Yeah, I went to that game when we went up, Matt. But only a kid and what have you. I can't remember much of it. I was a bit of a bandwagon fan. My dad, like, oh, this is a bit.
Was it Dave Cowlin against Newport? That one was that the one?
Yeah, bashed it in with his left foot. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. But wouldn't it be exciting though to be out? Because excitement also times, but it's been not happening as it last few seasons. Would be nice, wouldn't it, to have a little push for automatic? That Birmingham game's pretty early on in 2025. It's due January 9th, I think, 28th or something like that. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and then we got Wycombe. We got Wycombe at home.
Away following, yeah. The Mansfield. I felt people walking out thinking, "Here we go. We've got a team that's coming together." And Lincoln, it frustrated obviously me and Phil last week when people were like chucking toys out after half a game. But again, we're doing it. I just think I'm really excited for Boxing Day. I am anyway normally for a game of football, but this is a big game, and I just feel that. I'd love to lay down a proper marker and that as well and play well. But it's interesting because some people are saying, well, when are we still going to put it together? And I'm thinking, man, a minute, we're 11 games unbeaten. I say 12 now, whatever. But it's like, I can kind of see what people say when they mean that, Matt, because I think there's not been much that's been ruthless, haven't we? We've been very solid and we've nicked the goal by with many games, with the odd goal, obviously, last week an exception. So I thought it was a bit harsh that. I don't know, guys, we're 11 unbeaten, but I can kind of see what people are saying. It's like, but it's
we haven't looked like a promotion team. I get it. We haven't really. There's no sort of.
The word. That's
the phrase. Do you know what I mean? We don't look or carry ourselves quite like a promotion team, but we do work out how to win games when things aren't quite going brilliantly for us. I mean, Cambridge was a great performance. That was a team whereby you would watch and you would think, yeah, if those guys can do this, every other week, then they're, certainly a promotion contender for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Louis Barry thing, Kosi, I think that could go either way. I think the fact that he's been recalled already probably indicates that his next move is lined up. Otherwise, why would they recall him? So I'd imagine that he could either think, right, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory here, or he may think, right, I need to look after myself. Otherwise, if I get injured, then I'm going to struggle to get in at X, Y, Z, wherever he's going next. It could go either way, but I imagine being a professional footballer, he'll want to go out in a blaze of glory, I think, for Stockport, to be honest. But I think that's the end of that game, really, the 4-0 win. I think I just wanted to sort of just touch on Kachunga a little bit and just any favourite moments from Elias Kachunga that you can remember from down the years that really stand out. I mean, there's a couple for me. I mean, every sort of post-match celebration, and he was in the middle of it, wasn't he, with his big smiley happy face and stuff. And the header at Derby in the championship season was brilliant. You know, the last minute winner against Derby. The goal at Watford, his Premier League goal at Watford was really good as well. But he's just one of those players who used to just work so hard every week, and he never sort of
He got injured, wasn't it, that game?
He never came off, did he? And you think, oh, he's not really had a good game today, Kachunga. It was like every week was just, he never sort of let you down. He was a great player for us, really. Any memories from you guys?
Go ahead, Kosi.
No?
Sure.
No memories?
Jerry, I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little thing, but Moy's goal against Newcastle in the second game of the Premier League season, Kachunga got the assist on that. Like, I think he had a couple of passes in what was a very long build up to that goal. And when I think about Kachunga, I think about a guy who, obviously was an incredible poacher kind of around the goal. You go back and look at, I watched his highlights, Matt, when you put on the agenda for today, we're going to talk about Elias Kachunga. Went back, and Town have a great highlight reel of his goals up on YouTube. So I went back and watched that, and, he's just so good at finding those little spaces in the box to get his head on the balls, to get his foot on the balls, and, put them in the back of the net. But he was also a great sort of all-around connective kind of guy when he wasn't doing that. And you don't find a lot of players who have kind of both of those skills, who are both the fox in the box and can contribute to a build-up. And I think it's worth remembering that he didn't just do that in the championship. He was a meaningful part of Town's Premier League side and helped keep them up. I think sort of an overarching feeling I have is that maybe Town fans could appreciate that one Premier League season, even more, I think, than we do. Obviously, there was a lot of heavy defeats strung in there, but there was also so many great moments. It wasn't just Crystal Palace and United and then getting the draw at Stamford Bridge. It was, that win against Newcastle in the second game of the season as well. Just an absolutely classic goal from Moy there. But it wasn't just Moy. It was Elias Kachunga as well, making sure Moy got the ball right on his foot, right where he wanted it. It was a great touch. And I think it speaks to how Kachunga wasn't just, the fox in the box putting the ball in against Derby. He was also, that sort of all-around player who could do something like set up a moment like that in the Premier League as well. And I think that's kind of how I would like to remember him, is, not necessarily as the guy who's toiling down in Cambridge, but as a player who played an important pivotal role for a team that proved it belonged in the Premier League.
What about you, Cos?
Just a guy who just gave everything, really. Punched above his weight. Remember that big kind of Moby? He was a bit of when he's in his early days as well, but good. And that was a bit sweet, wasn't it, that Watford game? So I think, if I'm proven right, remember rightly, that the game when he scored, that's the game he got injured, didn't he? And also, Matt, that Newcastle, what was his name? Kennedy, was it? That destroyed him, didn't he? So it was such a shame, and that's probably why, no disrespect, playing at Cambridge rather than, in higher divisions somewhere, maybe if not here, then in Germany as well. But good player and hard working, and really, massive cog to that Wagner team as well. So nice that he got a good ovation Friday, and you never know, mate. He still might get a decent move. It sounds like he's been playing well for Cambridge as well, but it's
32, sorry, not 34, 33, 34. So it's 30.
Isn't it bad though, Matt? Though it's like, it's almost like our 1920s, isn't it? 2017. I don't think it's a bad thing looking back, but you know what it's like every Christmas. I knew it'd be wheeled out today. The Southampton goal, the Watford goal. It's going to be like this, isn't it? You want to see some new history, don't you, written and stuff? But it is going to be our 1920s moment. This, isn't it? Every other season, we're like, 30 years today. Potter. It's coming in it when we're 80. I mean, care.
Oh no, I stuck that online earlier because it came up on my phone. I've got Amazon Photos on my phone, and every night, it sort of buzzes you every day and says, on this day, so many years ago, and so many Town memories come up from there where I've been to games, taking pictures and videos. And it came up the other day, and I just thought, you know what, I'll download this and stick it on for the 23rd because it's with the in line with the Southampton game. And I've got another one for New Year's Eve that I've put on there, and Christmas Eve that are town related things, not on this day stuff, but just Christmas stuff. I just set them up so I don't have to do them. So keep an eye out for those if you like. We'll move on from the game. We're going from great news, and we'll touch on some slightly bad news, but we probably won't linger on this too much. I think quite a few people have noticed that Kian Harratt, who is on loan at Fleetwood, has been done for poaching a second time. Unfortunately, not in the penalty box this time, but he's been caught hair coursing, I think it is, in North Yorkshire again. So he will no doubt face a punishment for that once again, which is a shame because it's something which is blighting a what was a promising young career. So I don't really want to say much more on that. It's not something nice, but you kind of look at that and you think, the club Bradford City were very angry with him when it happened the first time, and he's broken. He got a second chance, and he's kind of broken it, I think, by the looks of it. So what the club do will be interesting up to then, and he wasn't in the Fleetwood squad the other day, so it's not great. It's a shame when these things happen. I mean, it's something he shouldn't be doing anyway. It's not, I'm not saying it's a shame he goes coursing, because that shouldn't happen, but yeah, that's a shame that's happened, and I'm sure we'll hear more of that in the coming weeks. If you guys don't want to touch upon that, that's absolutely fine.
I'm not.
The silence.
Really.
We'll keep that as a news.
You said it, Matt. It's just unfortunate. We've seen it. He has talent, but he's making a choice about the future of his football career, and that was the choice he made there. So.
There we go. Right. So we'll move on. Jerry, you wrote an article this week. It was a good one too.
I did.
So give it a plug.
Sure. Well, I was interested because an soccer analytics writer, please, everyone's eyes don't glaze over all at once, but one of my favorites pointed out that a guy who's worked for Milan is now working for a data analyst who was at Liverpool when they signed Mo Salah and a bunch of the guys who are running away with the Premier League now. This guy basically did a blog post a while back that said, if you want to sort of get a better read on who you would expect to get better or get worse over the course of a season, instead of just looking at XG, what you should do is take a mix of 70% XG and 30% actual goals scored. And you can look all over the internet and you can find XG totals for League One. The only place to find this 70%, 30% mix of XG and actual goals on the entire internet is takesthatchance.com. That is the only one. The three big takeaways from that. So basically, I calculated that for all of League One, put together a table based on that. The three big takeaways, and again, most of this is just if you were looking at XG. Which, real quick, an aside, like I know lots of people are XG skeptics, but we've all heard a manager after a match say, I thought we created the better chances, we deserve to get a result, but I told the lads, if they keep putting in those kinds of performances, the results will come. XG is just putting a numerical value to how good was that performance and saying the same thing. If you keep putting in good performances, you would expect the results to come over the course of a season. Same kind of thing. And so the three, I thought, big takeaways that I wrote in the article for Huddersfield Town. One is that we've talked a lot about Wrexham being a potential auto-promotion contender. The numbers hate them. Even once you account for the goals that they've scored, their XG is so terrible that they are well below what XG sees as sort of a top four, which would be, the numbers think Birmingham City is kind of the runaway leader at this point. And then it's got Wycombe, Town, and Stockport actually as the next three. It hates Wrexham. I think it's easy to understand why they've outperformed their XG, though. I think their goalkeeper, Arthur Okonkwo, I may be mispronouncing that. I don't remember how it was pronounced during Town's game against them, has been the best keeper in the division by the stats by a wide margin. So I think that's mainly where they're outperforming their XG. But no one, or at least very, very few teams, outperform it the way Wrexham have outperformed it to this point. So you might expect Wrexham to fall off a little bit. We've kind of already seen that. As a Town fan, If you draw Cambridge at home, clearly you're not a team that's necessarily in top form. So we may see them drop some more points, hopefully, in the coming months. And then Stockport, also with Barry leaving, they would be sort of the fourth team. The numbers really kind of suggest this would be, the second takeaway would be it's kind of a 3-team race numbers wise for those first 2 spots. Now, of course, we're trying to predict the future in sports. It's one of the hardest things in the world. It's the reason that people who do this professionally are really happy if they get 58% of their bets, right? So this is a really hard thing to do. But if you look at the odds right now in terms of that top 2 futures, it's Town, it's Wickham, and obviously Birmingham City. And that's kind of a little bit of separation between those 3 teams and the other teams. I think they've still got Wrexham 4th and Stockport actually 5th, even though the numbers like Stockport better. So, again, that's a good thing. And the other big takeaway was Town are way out in front in terms of the competition for a playoff place. It would be a big, big shock to the numbers if Town actually slipped all the way to 7th, which we kind of know already by looking at the table. And I wrote the article before Cambridge. It was before that. So obviously you go on the away and win 4-0. That's not going to do anything but help your numbers a dramatic amount. But even before that, Town were, you don't want to ever say anything is a lock or nailed on or anything like that at this stage of the season. But it would be a big, big surprise if Town didn't at least make that top 6.
Touch wood, spin around, and all the other things as well. Yeah. Great stuff, Jerry. It's a good article. I've read that as well. Proofread it as well, and I was quite enjoying it when I was proofreading it. I forgot I was supposed to be publishing it, and I sat there reading away. Let's carry on from last week, Kosi. Do you remember last week we discussed the best Christmas song? So I thought we would have that out. So I stuck it on Twitter. Jerry was very surprised to hear that he'd never heard of A Spaceman Came Traveling before, which I'm obviously not going to sing with this croaky voice. But you'd never heard it before, had it, Jerry? But now you have.
No.
You've added it to your list.
It's great, yeah. Krista Berg apparently has just never made the impact stateside he made over the UK. I had never heard Lady in Red, which apparently is was a huge hit in the UK. I've read that people got sick of it because it got played so much. I'd never heard it until a year and a half ago. Somebody just randomly mentioned it on Twitter. I've never heard A Spaceman Came Traveling until you mentioned it, Matt. You just mentioned it like it was this song everybody knows, and I was like,
I thought
what?
It did, but
There's a spaceman involved in our Christmas music. I enjoyed it though. I'm a fan. My favorite Christmas song is "Christmas Baby, Please Come Home" by Darlene Love. You know that one. She used to sing it on the David Letterman show every Christmas. Anyways, it's great. It's off the Phil Spector Christmas album, which is the best Christmas album recorded. I'm a big Christmas music guy. I have a playlist of 200 songs actually that I listen to at Christmas, and I got the best compliment of my life. My 14-year-old 2 weeks ago said that she didn't feel the need to make her own Spotify playlist because she liked my Christmas music playlist well enough that she didn't feel the need. So if you have a 14-year-old, you understand how difficult
it is. That's quite a big deal, is that? I'll give you that. That's not bad. My lad's only 6 and he's quite impressionable, so he's still listening to things that I do. But we'll move on. So the best Christmas song. So I did ask. Someone called Jerry Hinnen replied and put Calypso Christmas Party for Santa Claus.
That one's great, by the way. Again, the kids love it. Hey, Google "Party for Santa Claus" by Lord Nelson. He's from Barbados. It's awesome.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah. John Cockram says Bing Crosby, David Bowie, "Peace on Earth, Little Drummer Boy," and that is an excellent song. I'll give him that. That's an absolutely great song. You're looking at me, Jerry, like you've not heard of that one either.
But no. That one, the video growing up was in constant rotation on MTV growing up. So that one I've heard, yes. Little Drummer Boy is just not my favorite Christmas standard. So it's a very good version of Little Drummer Boy, but I just don't like Little Drummer Boy. I always feel bad for Mary, who's gone through childbirth and they've gone on the road to Bethlehem, and it's just like, finally it's over. I can have some peace and quiet. And then, this kid shows up like, here we go, drum solo.
I always feel madly threatened by or madly judged by the John Lennon one, where it says, "So this is Christmas," and what have you done? It's like, well, you sit there going, "Oh, what have I done this year? Thanks, John." That's always fun. Paulie Richard says, "I've got two. I've got David Bowie, Bing Crosby, Little Drummer Boy, Peace and Earth. Paul McCartney with the Frog Chorus. I don't know if you ever heard the Frog Chorus. I think it was on I think it was a kids' TV Christmas film, and it's I don't know if it's Rupert the Bear or something, and but it basically just goes bomb, bomb, bomb. I've not heard that one. No, I can do the
No.
bombs because
I'm afraid the frog chorus also not part of American Christmas culture.
Sing or swim. Yeah, it's pretty good. Paul Gillespie says Santa Claus is coming to town, obviously. Ryla says you can't knock Greg Lake. Herbie Kane Enthusiast says can't go wrong with Fairy Tale of New York. Tom Finnegan says it's Christmas rapping by the waitresses, end of, just for the bass line alone. That is a pretty good one, to be fair.
It's incredible.
Simpson HTFC says Dominic Verling the donkey, which you might not get that one either. I think that was
no. I've heard Dominic the donkey. It's
donkey. And Steve B says the darkness, don't let the bells end. Robbed of number one by
yes.
Madwell. And then Jay Gravel says this should be everybody's. Forget the milk, Santa needs a beer. Christmas song. I might listen to that afterwards. But I've got a couple, mate. I thought, okay, those are quite decent ones. John Lennon, obviously, judging us. But I thought the second best one, Kosi, would be this. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, we gave it away. Next year, the same notice, I'll give it to David Wagner. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, we gave it away. Next year, the same notice, I'll give it to David Wagner. Last Christmas, I love that. It brings back some good memories.
I hope I was watching YouTube this, because the one thing I took out of that wasn't the music. It was Town just passing it, getting absolutely nowhere. Whoever they were playing, I don't know who they were playing, but I thought that just sums us up the last 10 years or whatever. They just passed it backwards and sideways.
Premier League football, that mate. Premier League football. I think that was against Stoke. A certain Egyptian winger runs, does quite well, and then ends up getting signed. But mate, how could we forget this one? So, out of all the Town Christmas songs or any football Christmas song, there has to be someone who remembers this from 2020, 2021. Surely. Not that one. This one.
No, I don't want to see singing it, mate. It's happening. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. Navidad. I love it.
Thank you. Feliz Navidad.
How young
could we forget
then? We looked a lot younger then. How many years ago? Was this like 15 or something? Jesus, we've aged bad, haven't we? Yeah, it's we could see Town as well. Christmas, like, it's always nice to see like Town in the local hospitals and things as well. Like that Atalanta game last night, really nice. They had a Christmas shirt, which they all kind of sell off for Christmas charities, like in Bergamo, and people were bringing toys to give again to underprivileged children in Bergamo. So I thought that was class. That, you know, just a nice thing that clubs do, you know, for community and that as well. And I just think, we're always good with stuff like that, aren't we, as well? So it's yeah, we do a lot of good stuff. Football is all about community, isn't it? That for me. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, it'll never change. Hopefully, yeah, that's the good thing with Kevin. I think no matter what you might think of some of his, some of his stuff and that as well. We still are a community club, aren't we? And we're still doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
which is good. And I think that's, if that ever changed for me, it just like never be the same. But yeah, it's and hard to believe it's Christmas Day in a couple of days. It's mad, isn't it? But yeah, it's turning into an exciting season for us, isn't it? Because I wasn't feeling it for a lot of this season, and like I said, it's not been like performances has blown us away, Matt. But I just think I just think the long-term aim, the promotion is definitely on. And Michael Duff, obviously, I hear people say now, give him a 5-year contract, let him sort stuff out. And I think the most exciting thing as well, Matt, even if we don't go up, which obviously I'd want to do, and I've said, might take another window and this, that, and other, and who knows what it might. And we've got a great chance to sort it out either way, because there's so many players out of contract in the summer. He's going to be able to put his stamp on it, and I just think I'm not saying exciting because that's a word we haven't used for a long time, but there's scope, I think, to get stuff changed and finally we're kind of move it in the direction that we all want to go in. So it's we've had to stick with it. It's been tough coming down some of these games that Northampton, who I keep reading people saying the worst Northampton team ever, and that they blew us away, and then we've kind of had that dip and come back and stuff. But yeah, we're heading into Christmas, aren't we? In good art really, and that as well. With hopefully the treatment table is going to be. If I had a Christmas wish, Matt, a Christmas present, our physios are going to be less busy in 2025, mate. That's my Christmas wish. And Jerry's will probably be a striker and a left-sided player. But yeah, ships them out as well, Matt. I think that'll happen in New Year. I think it's going to be an interesting time for us next few months and even into the off-season. So it's, for people, it's never dull being Town fan, is it? I think some of these other clubs never seem to do anything, but for us, we're booed with that. Says like fan that a lot of people have known that. So it says, we're quite happy for a mid-table League One season. Like, what are you about, boo? It's like, says, but this is Huddersfield Town, and we never get this. So here we go again, isn't it? It's emotional roller coaster, and we're on it again, aren't we? Honestly, it's unbelievable. There's always something happening in Town. Always.
When was the last time we were mid-table, Matt? It's been like literally 15 years now, hasn't it?
I think it were.
Do you reckon it would be?
Like
Depends what you class mid-table, but I reckon Lee Clark's.
I mean, it is
first
right.
season,
I think it was one of the Clark seasons.
2008, 2009. I think
the championship mid-table.
I looked it up at some point. Like they've either been in like the bottom third or in the playoffs, like, or seventh or something every year for, like I said, like 15 years. It's literally promotion or relegation battles every single season. It's unbelievable. We should probably appreciate that, but
yeah, we finished 15th, didn't we? But I think we were still technically some of it, so I don't know if that counts. But the last bit, speaking of emotions, is I put a tweet out asking for your naughty and nice list, and 628 people have seen this on Twitter. And not a single person has replied. So thanks for that. Which was great. Thanks for helping.
Twitter's in a bad place these days, Matt. It's a bad place.
It's difficult to engage these days on social media. It is difficult because I think a lot of people who used to engage have kind of
it's gone
fallen off Twitter because it's just gone a bit of a cesspit. But
I was talking to a guy who covers Barcelona, like right high up at ESPN, and he was saying, "says a week," because obviously this Blue Sky came out, and he was saying he moved on to there and a few others and stuff, and I was saying, look, is it going to be another?
I put up Blue Sky as well, didn't get a reply. So
no. And are we anchoring for a kind of and he said to me, he says, "Cause are we anchoring for a time that's maybe past?" And I think I'm believing that now, mate. It feels like the X days of Twitter.
There's a few different things that we're looking at for next year. So we're going to move the platform of the podcast next year. So keep an eye out for that.
Off to America, Jerry. Come on.
So we'll do our naughty and nice list. I mean, my nice list for me, Michael Duff is obviously on the nice list because he's stuff around. He's added a resilience that wasn't there before, and he speaks to Huddersfield Town fans using Huddersfield Town fan language as well. So Michael Duff's certainly on the on the nice list, along with everybody who listens to this podcast and shares it and likes it and provides feedback, good or bad. The naughty list for me is killer for dipping out of the pod tonight and making Kosi miss one of his meetings to have to fill in for him. So killer, you're a shithouse and you're on the naughty list. Jerry?
Yeah, my naughty list, of course, are the referees. I said a few weeks ago I was happy because I felt like the officiating in League One had actually been better than the officiating in the Championship, which isn't what you would necessarily expect. I was like, oh well, it's actually maybe better down here on that front. And then I think I said that in the pod back channels, and then like literally in the next 2 weeks we have Karoma's ankle almost shattered by the Mansfield goalkeeper, and we have this rugby tackle from Lincoln City in the box where it's just like, and neither of these are anything, like not a foul, not a yellow, not a penalty, not a red, nothing on either one of these occasions. So refs, I'm mailing you a stocking full of coal for that one. My nice list, this maybe is a hot take, but I'm awarding a nice sticker to Mark Cartwright and the town recruitment team for the summer window. I want to read, like, this is who they brought in over the summer. Anthony Evans, Herbie Kane, Nigel Onwijk, Lasse Sorensen, Mikael Miller, Callum Marshall, Joe Hodge, and Freddie Ladapo, as well as obviously they hired Michael Duff. And there aren't maybe any superstars in there, but that is a lot of good players. Like Evans, Kane, Lonwijk, Sorensen, Miller, Marshall, and Hodge. That is 7 players who I think would all figure definitely into Town's like match day squad, and maybe all even start to put that many players, into the squad who all are capable of contributing over one summer. I think, again, we didn't get the, star striker that we're all hoping for. But I think that was an accomplishment. I think if you're building the club back up to where, we don't just get promoted, but hopefully, we don't have to do this, song and dance every year where we either get relegated or promoted, where, maybe we could get crazy and that sounds a championship mid-table season. Oh my gosh.
Nirvana,
It takes building out the squad. And so bringing in, a lot of players, obviously a lot of them are loanees, maybe not going to stick around, but, that's a first step. We didn't take flyers on strikers from the Croatian second division, right? Like these are players who had contributed at the League One level before, who we knew could do a job. It felt much more like sort of a Michael Duff sort of friendly window. They hired their guy, they pursued that guy's vision, and we've seen the benefits. And I think, missing out on the striker, which hopefully will get remedied. You are listening, right, Mr. Nagel, this January. If they fix it then, I think you would have to say that as much of a debacle as the previous January window was, and you can write debacle in all caps, like get a plane to skywrite it up in the skies, debacle. The summer window was very, very good. And so I'm going to award a nice sticker for the town recruitment team on that one.
Nice. Kosi?
Yeah, not at least. I'm going to go back to officials. It started at Rotherham when last saw someone absolutely ridiculously given a penalty against, unbelievably.
Oh, idiotic.
So obviously we're due some decent decisions, in my opinion. Steve Evans, I'm waiting for you, Steve. 4th of Jan, I think, when we play now. I'm going to be taking my seat, which I've been kind of sitting at kind of near the away fans more, but I'll be set right behind the dugout that afternoon, and I'm ready for Huddersfield to do a job. So, yeah, anyone near me that day might need to bring some earplugs. But, yeah, for me, Kevin Nagel, mate, not naughty, but nice. Let's wind it back. Season cards, and listen to the fans, whether people disagree or agree with what was going to happen. I thought the price was going up. I was resigned to it, and I would have paid it. But he didn't. He kept the prices as they are. So I think we've got to be very grateful the owner for that, and listening to fan feedback and stuff like that as well, because it's an easy thing to put up. Might not be an easy maybe because we got relegated, but I were expecting it to go up. and also H-Town. Since I've something that's got everyone on the same page. I've not been yet, but I think that's going to change the next couple of home games this week. But yeah, the people that have gone loved it. A fantastic thing, and it's something built for the fans that's going to hopefully stay for years to come, which is very rare, really. And also the stadium, mate. I know it was easily thrown at him when we were on that bad run. We got no shiny conflict, but no, the stadium looks good. And obviously, it sounds like the Giants. I better be careful what I say because some Giants fans with Town, but it looks like we're probably going to be in there solely at some point. And if you believe what you heard, Nagel maybe going to help the Giants get a new stadium. So again, he's doing stuff for the community. So again, it's he's had some brickbats thrown at him, Matt, and I've had to go at one or two things that he's not going to please you all the time, but I think he's done a good job as an owner. So I'm just hoping we finally get a bit of luck because, like you mentioned there, Jerry, that recruitment, but again, the injuries. Let's hope next season. Honestly, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I just went all pulled up in that virtual trophy, we're in a wall. I just figured this is something. How many first half injuries we've had and stuff. So yeah, if Santa has got some presence, then yeah, I think for me, Kevin Nagel is huge, and just think again all the other stuff. Feel that the club's done. It's been fantastic. It deserves better promotion. But I want to it's just on the field. It'll be ace at the end of the season, won't it? If we can get where we need to get and look back and think, H-Town, the stuff that people with disabilities and some of the stuff that's been done there, behind the scenes at clubs, all that's great. But just a bit of an icing on the cake. We're always going to be a tough season with us, won't it? But I just think, I don't know, sport, like it just kicks you, doesn't it? And who knows, Christmas might not go like we want, but it just feels like at last it's turning. And I'm just wanting that Stockport game to be a big crowd in there. There won't be many empty seats. I wouldn't have thought it'd be a massive crowd in there. It's a big game. They'll fill their away, and it's going to feel like a big game. And if we could do the business in that, then I'd kind of walk away and watch and just think, this is Huddersfield Town. Obviously our back, but it's the hard kind of foundations, Matt. That's kind of been happening. That Kevin Nagel's only been here.
Have you finished?
Yeah, Kevin Nagel. 2 words, mate. Yeah. He's on my good list, man.
Well done to everyone who's got through this podcast as well. I mean, my voice and Jerry, it's great to hear you back on these pod waves, shall we say. Kosi, thank you very much for stepping in, and nice to wear the Christmas jumper as well. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll try squeeze a driving in this week if we can. If not, we'll be back sooner rather than later, and we'll post on social media when we're able to produce the next review show as well, looking back at games against Stockport and Burton. So all the best. And from everyone at the podcast, have a great Christmas. And if we don't speak to you before then, have a great New Year as well.
Singing it, mate. It's happening. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. I love it.
Thank you. Feliz Navidad.